And welcome everybody, hope you're doing well today. Hi, hello. So, for our stream today, and if you're seeing this in the VOD, I'll explain why things may be split up in a second. We're doing our monthly demo day our monthly demo day stream. So for those that are unaware of what this is a thing I do every month that I have decided to do, where it's like, oh, I find a bunch of demos that I have found through Steam recommended or through social media or other means that I've been recommended, things like through word of mouth or what have you. And I round up probably about 4 or so demos and showcase them to everybody, because I like to showcase stuff like this, since a lot of these games, you know, putting a demo out is a really nice showing of what they can be about. And I've always liked doing this. So yeah, we are doing another demo day. And the reason why it took a bit longer for another one after the last one was because the last one was a tad awkwardly timed, because it was around the areas of the beginning of March and late February. So I just kind of rolled those into the same situation. But now we're on April. This is the demo day for April, and that's how this works out. The other thing is that for my Twitch audience, this will be one entire stream, but for the YouTube viewers, this is going to be separate videos, because I want to give each game its own dedicated VOD part to be uploaded as its own separate thing. Also, it makes it easier for people to want to view the videos that they would prefer to see for certain games. So yeah, that's why all of the VODs, that's why the VODs are going to be separated with each game. And that will also mean I'll cut out the ad breaks. So that'll be good. So yeah, let's get the first game pulled up right now. As I said, I have 4 games I'd like to share with all of you. And these games are ones that I have recently acquired. And, you know, they can vary in terms of genres as far as, you know, what they've got to showcase, or what their, or how long they can end up being. So the happy medium that I've decided on most of the time is just pick 4 of them, because I think that settles on a good amount. Maybe 5 if one demo ends up being a bit shorter than the rest. So yeah, that's the plan. And our first game that I have to share with you all is a game that I recently found that's like a text-based RPG called, come on, Capture, you can get it. There it is. Heralds of the Mist, which I don't really know fully the story of this, but this is a very dice text-heavy game in the same vein as something like Citizen Sleeper and Disco Elysium, and I'm all for finding games that are very similar to that. So I just saw the gameplay style in the trailer that was on the Steam page, and I thought, oh, this looks neat. So here we are. So let's give this a go. I also like that the cursor turns into a little quill. Diego of the Mists started a rebellion for the 3rd time. Determined to end his defiance, the Queen dispatched her army, led by Kai the Written, into the mists. Neither Kai nor the army ever returned. Ooh, I like this music. The Queen has tasked you with uncovering the fate of her lost forces. Go with that. Ooh, attribute points. Oh, okay, I like that they have a text thing below showing what the stats do. One thing that I would want to recommend, though, is to maybe make the text a bit more prominent, because either that or maybe change it to like a pop-up window like that shows up on either side that shows what the stats do. But I do like that this is even showing up, so cool. All right, so strength. Strength allows you to wield better swords and heavy armor, while also improving your chances on strength rolls. Dexterity allows you to use better bows and daggers, while also improving your chance on dexterity rolls. Will allows you to use magic and spell books, while also improving your chances on will rolls. Okay, so magic is tied to will here. I'm gonna pick dexterity and will. And so we get 3 items to pick. A sword, a long sword, bow, arrow, dagger, spellbook of healing, spellbook of ray, leather armor, mana potion, and a health potion. And then we have a skill that we can pick. Will 2, circle 1. Oh, so there's a requirement for certain spells to be able to be usable. Yeah, okay. So the bow requires dexterity 2. Let's pick a dagger and leather armor. And it's probably also tied to mana. It's just the stat requirements are for the spells to be usable, and then, yeah. What do I want to pick next? I want to know what circle 1 means, too. I think I'll pick a health potion. We'll just go with this. All right, choose 1 skill. First circle. Cast spells from the first circle of magic. Oh, in that case... oh, but I need will 2 to even do that. Never mind. Cleave. Swing your weapon in a wide horizontal arc, deal half damage to all nearby enemies, swords only. Slam. Deliver a powerful sword strike, dealing 150% more damage, swords only. Rain. Shower enemies with a rain of arrows, dealing half damage to all enemies, bows and crossbows only. Bow bash. Use your bow as a melee weapon, dealing half damage, bows and crossbows only. Inflict a deep wound with cut, dealing 150% more damage to the enemy, daggers only. We'll go with that. We may spec more into magic. Or range, whichever. Or maybe this is one of those games that's better to spec specifically into one thing as opposed to branching out. Mountain Pass. The color of the Ascendant's throne, a set of 9 moons in the sky, turns blue, marking the beginning of the 3rd month of the year and also the beginning of your journey. Standing atop the mountain pass and gazing at your destination, you understand why this place is called the Mists. The entire region is shrouded in a thick veil of fog, so dense that even the light of the throne cannot pierce through it. Through the veil, the only things you can see out in the dark silhouettes of nearby trees, or make out are dark silhouettes of nearby trees and tall tower rising in from the horizon. And Ascendant's throne. And this is something I really like. You know, if you're really wanting to get into the nitty-gritty of a particular detail in the world, having the ability to just hover over a highlighted word to learn the cliff notes about something is just excellent. Love that. Great. Let's see, the throne, the 9 moons in the sky. Each one is a different size and changes color every month. To end the war with the second corner and unite all of Barang, Kirakan ascended to the largest of them and made all 9 moons his throne. Okay. So, one of the moons is changed to... Okay, so the color of the moons the color of the moons changes every month, so it's blue, so blue means the 3rd month of the year. Okay, interesting. That's neat. And then the throne. Yeah, same deal. It's late. I need a rest before continuing my journey. You walk down the pass and look for a place to camp. Before you find a suitable spot, your eyes catch a faint light flickering a short distance away. The fog prevents you from seeing the source of the light. It might be another person setting up a camp, but as far as you know, there's no one living up this far. Tutorial on dice rolls. Your dice rolls... You roll dice for actions with uncertain outcomes. You roll 2 6-sided dice and add the relevant attribute. If the total meets or exceeds the target, you succeed. In dialogue, you can see the target and your chance of success. Display the target area counts for your relevant attribute. Okay, so I need to make a dex roll of 6, which means I probably have a 72% chance of getting it good. There's only one way to find out. I walked right towards the light. It could be something dangerous. I better approach without making a sound. Oh no. An absolute failure. Oh. God damn it. Roaring start. You try to use the fog to your advantage and approach without revealing yourself, but the fog works against you. You only notice the branches ahead after stepping on them. The sound echoes amongst the trees, startling the birds perched above and sending them fleeing. If anyone is out there, they might be on alert. You get closer. When you get closer, you see a hooded figure resting by the big fire. The figure sits on a tree trunk and extends one hand towards the fire. A long sword leaning on their shoulder with its tip in the ground, or on the ground. The figure looks towards you. Doesn't seem surprised by seeing someone else up this high. Let's see, I wait to figure to react. I approach without making any sudden movements. I make it clear that I don't mean any harm. I was looking for somewhere to rest. May I join you? I'll wait for them to react. The figure scans you from head to toe, trying to figure out if you're dangerous. Who might you be? You can tell from the voice that... Who might you be? Never mind. Yeah, you can tell from the voice that this figure is a woman. Telling the truth might be dangerous. Yeah. My name's Will. That's so, she says in her soft voice, her eyes full of doubt. I'm Maya. Unlike you, I'm leaving the mists and going to Gart, right? Gart. She makes a hand gesture for you to sit. I wonder what makes a sane person leave the city and come to the most bleak part of Barang. When you sit across, you examine Maya. Some of her black hair peeks out from her hood, partially obscuring her face. The remaining portion appears quite dirty. Her eyes are light blue like the Ascendant's throne in the sky. Her gaze is stern, and her shoulders broad. And you realize she is missing her right arm. What's Gart? Also known as the First Corner, it is Barang's first and wealthiest settlement. It is considered the capital of Barang, and nearly all trade flows through the city. The Queen's magnificent palace is also located there, featuring 9 towers, each representing one of the moons. And then Barang. Alright, Barang. So this is the big world. 79 ships set sail from the motherland, but only 23 reached the new continent. They named it Barang, after the ship that stayed behind to ensure the others' passage. Its jagged mountains, rugged coastlines, and sharp-edged rocks formations stood as a warning to all who arrived. Barang was not a land that welcomed settlers. It tested them. Even today, centuries after their arrival, no one truly calls this place home, yearning instead for the hope of return to their motherland. All right. Let's see. Sent me to investigate a lost army. It was out of necessity. I used to run an underground operation in Gart. When I got caught, the Queen in her mercy released me on the condition that I leave Gart. I'd rather keep my reasons to myself. I understand. She doesn't push any further. Her eyes watch you carefully. Can I ask you some questions? Yeah. Or ask you some questions? Go ahead. Do you happen to know anything about the Lost Army? What can you tell me about the Mists? She sniffs, tossing a twig into the fire before responding. It's nothing like Gart. I can say that much, at least. People are cold and distant. Most worship the Ascendant, but they're not fond of the Queen. Though the Written managed to change that a bit. Kai the Written is the Queen's most esteemed general and a folk hero. He played a significant role in defeating the defeat of Diego of the Mists. Okay, who is this guy? Diego of the Mist, also known as Diego the Betrayer. He was among the first tribes to settle in the Mists, seeking to take advantage of Gart's weakness during the epidemic. He declared war on the Queen. However, he was prevented by the Ascendant himself, who transcended from his throne. He is renowned for his compelling charisma, masterful persuasion, and the uncanny ability to incite rebellion, even among the most loyal devotees of the Ascendant and the Queen. He has 3 children. The fate of the first is unknown. The second, Glenn, and the third, Celine. Okay. Strengthening the Queen's rule. Unfortunately, he disappeared along with the army. The 5th corner still supports the Queen. I can't say the same for the Mist Dwellers and the Liberated. The 5th corner. The 5th corner is Barang's 5th and the Mist's first official settlement. It was founded by Oswald Laren, a devoted follower of both Karakhan? I think Karakhan. Karakhan and his daughter. Even long after his death, Laren's steadfast loyalty continues to echo throughout the 5th corner, a place that has resisted all involvement in the rebellions of the Mists. Okay, so first settlement, that was official. And the Mist Dwellers, one of the major settlements of the Mists, founded by Diego the Betrayer. He unified all the scattered clans and rebelled against the Queen 3 times. After Diego's imprisonment, the Mist Dwellers came under the rule of his equally cunning son, Glenn. And the Liberated, I'm guessing, the pagans of the Mists. They recognized neither God nor law. They raided other settlements and spread chaos. Their leader is Diego's insane daughter, Celine. Okay, so Mist Dwellers, Glenn, Liberated, Celine. Got it. So you've been to Gart before. What can you tell me about the 5th corner? Okay, so these would be in case I didn't hover over these. Yeah. So you've been to Gart before. A long time ago. You wait for her to give more detail, but the woman offers no further information. I want her opinion. It's governed by Verena, who supports the Queen, Mia explains. Or, yeah, probably just Maya. It was the only tribe in the Mist that didn't involve in the uprising of Diego. It is also the most populous tribe, because it's the safest. Verena tries to enforce laws as much as possible in accordance with Gart's standards. It will be the safest place for you if that's what you are looking for. How about the Mist Dwellers? It's governed by Glenn, the second son of Diego. Not as bright as his father, but still a cunning leader. He is a pawn of his father, even though he claims otherwise. He's been doing good job turning. Should be an A there, just a letter A. He's been doing a good job turning people against the Queen. Like his father, he worships the Ascendant and thinks the Queen is a fraud. I heard they've been struggling recently, though. I don't know why. Maya pauses. I can't say much. I can say that much at least. And the Liberated. It's ruled by a madwoman named Celine, daughter of Diego. Maya can't hide her hatred as she says Celine. They are pagans. Not part of any church or belief. That's why they call themselves the Liberated. They don't follow any laws or rules. Their camps is a total madhouse. I would stay away from them if I were you. I had other questions. Maya tilts her head from side to side. Watching the fire, she waits for your next question. Do you know anything about the Lost Army? She looks surprised by the question. What do you want to know? Just curious. It seems very strange to me that thousands of people suddenly disappeared. It is strange indeed, Maya says in a subdued voice. But if you were familiar with the Mists, this wouldn't seem so strange to you. People disappear all the time, never to return. Her eyes linger on the fire for a moment. But of course, thousands disappearing all at once is unprecedented. People disappear all the time? They don't call it the Mists for nothing, Maya says, glancing at the fog surrounding them, held at bay only slightly by the fire. Sometimes the mists get so thick you can't even see what's in front of you, and you find yourself stepping onto paths with no way back. Well, do you know anything? I don't. She dismisses the question. They passed by the outskirts of my town years ago. Haven't seen them again. I feel like she's lying. I've heard some rumors, though. What kind of rumors? Her pale blue eyes watch the dancing flames for a moment before turning to you. They say the army betrayed the Queen. She quietly responds. A Kai now serves Diego instead. Kai the okay. So it's People are rumoring that Kai is now serving Diego and his kids instead of the queen. Let's see. Kai the Written. Known as the queen's most favored and loyal warrior, Kai's fate was written by the queen long before his birth. Hence, he earned the moniker the Written. Trained as a soldier, he led the queen's army into numerous battles. He is renowned for his generosity, humility, diligence, and superior tactical acumen. During the Mist's second uprising, he not only defeated Diego's invincible army, Knights of the Mists, but also became their leader. He transformed into a hero among the people, strengthening the queen's rule throughout Barang. Interesting. So it seems maybe after he managed to get the Mists under his control, he was like, I might be strong enough. Also, you basically wrote out a whole character sheet for me. I want my own life. That might be his whole prerogative. She pauses for a second. I can say that much at least. Nonsense. Kai's the queen's most loyal soldier. I know. Mia smiles faintly, realizing the absurdity of what she is saying. Mists carry all sorts of nonsense around. Her smile fades. Sometimes they even make you believe in it. Turn to other questions. Why are you leaving the Mists? Maya takes a moment before responding. There's nothing left for me in here. She stretches her legs, extending them forward. I used to be a mercenary, but things changed when I lost my sword hand. She indicates her missing arm with her remaining arm. I have to build a new life for myself. I believe God will offer good opportunities. Guard is a big city. I'm sure you'll find something to do there, especially if you are following the teachings of Kairakan and his daughter. I do. I'm a member of the Church of the Family. She raises her hand to her face in a graceful motion, then she directs it towards the Ascendant's throne. Traditionally, this gesture means allegiance to the Queen when performed with the left hand, to Kairakan with the right hand, and to both when using both hands. I'm guessing you too are, since you're coming from Got. Okay, so Church of the Family. The Church of the Family worships both Kairakan and Nayantara, right? Yeah, Nayantara, and argue that the two cannot be worshipped separately. The majority of the population is part of this church. The greatest reward for them is to become part of the Holy Family. Serving them and strengthening their rulings are their primary duties. Okay. And we get some words on Kairakan. Kairakan, the Ascendant. With his wisdom, he became the leader of the survivors, and with his immortality, their god. To resolve the challenges wrought by the Second Corner and to unite all of Barang, he ascended to the Nine Moons, leaving the governance of Barang to his daughter, Nayantara. From his throne on the moon, he continues to watch. Twice he has descended from his throne. First, to cure the plague that suffocated Barang, and second, to defend his daughter against the treacherous Diego. Okay, so gods are very real in this. It is not just myth. The gods are very, very real, and they have come down to help us. And it seems a god was a part of the royal, part of Barang's ruling class, or is, whichever. All right. All right, so yes, I am a member of the Church of the Family. I know I'm not a member. Actually, no, I'm a member of the Church of the Ascendant. The Ascendant is the singular and true God. I bring my right hand to my face and slowly extend it. Actually, no, I'm a member of the Church of the Daughter. Oh, 3%? Oh, God. Wait, why is this a roll? Also, there's no L next to this other L. Like, not... Yeah, just a little grammar. I'm gonna try it. Fuck. Alright. Articulating your thoughts becomes more challenging than you thought. It's as if your tongue momentarily ceases to obey you. You manage to speak, but you fail to utter your intended words. Instead, you say you're not sure about your beliefs yet. Also, there's an ad break starting in about 4 minutes, heads up. Maya raises an eyebrow, looking disappointed. Surprising. I doubt the mists will clear your mind. Alright, anything you can tell me about the mists? Maya picks up another twig to play with the fire. Let me share something not many people are aware of. Her eyes shift from the flames to you. Animals. She adds in a somewhat subdued tone. I don't know if it's just me, but here, animals seem much more intelligent than those in Got. What do you mean? For a moment, she becomes lost in thought. Sometimes they watch you. She almost whispers, as if she's afraid the birds will hear her. They stop and watch you with a strange, thoughtful look in their faces. She pauses. I can say that much at least. It's probably just my paranoia. I see, thanks for the information. Now you tell me, what news do you bring from God? You detect a hint of longing in Maya's voice when she mentions that place. Let's see, despite the war, the loss of the army, and all the other adversities, the city remains stronger than ever. Queen Nayantara has already formed a new army and dispelled suspicion among the corners. Frankly, the city is in a tough spot. The disappearance of the army in Kai has understandably stirred up unrest among the people in the corners. It sounds like it would, because the disappearance of thousands of people out of nowhere, and potentially one of the, most loyal devotees to the queen also disappearing. Yeah. Do you think there will be another dissension? Since Kyra Khan, the Ascendant, moved to the throne and handed the rule to his daughter, he has dissented twice. Yeah. During each dissension, the Ascendant's throne turns blood red. Floods sweep across the shores and mountains tremble. Oh, so him coming down to solve shit really fucks the world up. Okay. I hope not, and considering the Queen's current path, it feels like an unavoidable outcome regardless of the Church of the Ascendant's efforts. Maya nods thoughtfully. She looks at the throne as if to make sure it's not red. I guess we'll see. It's getting late. You better get some sleep before the morning. I nod. Can I spend the night here? Please do. It's always safer to spend the night with someone in the mists. Before she starts to try to sleep, Maya looks at her sword leaning on her shoulder for a moment. You must have some coin. Are you coming from the city after all? Would you like to buy my sword? She pulls the sword slightly out of its sheath, revealing the gleam of the metal. It's of high quality. I've no use for it in God, especially since I lost my arm and can't wield it. I'm sure it would be more useful to you. I can give you a good deal. Examine the sword. The craftsmanship of the sword indeed looks impressive, despite its size. It doesn't look overly heavy. The leather-clad scabbard and the hilt feature silver engravings. It's evident that it had been well maintained, and the steel remains shiny and the edge sharp. I've got 50 coins. Okay. How much do you want for it? 30 coins. What do you say? Where did you get it? It was my brother's sword. You don't need to know any more details. I'm very curious, but I feel like it'd be insensitive. I have a higher chance on that, but she could use the money. This feels like the kind of game that if I actually didn't lowball her on the sword. Oh, but the problem is I have no strength to wield the sword. Well, we'll figure it out after the ad break, so for the next 3 minutes, be sure to get yourself some water, stretch, whatever you need to do, then we'll have 1 hour of no pre-rolls, so yay. BRB, everybody. And we're back. Thank you for your patience, everybody. All right, so the only thing is that I don't know how the experience system in this is going to work, and I have no circle stuff, so I'm not going to learn any spells. I think because if I even just get 1 strength point in after level up, I can use both a sword and a dagger. The only downside is I have no skills to use said dagger with, or said sword with. She's offering. You know what? Why not? Oh, wait, oh, cool. It even it provides stats at the bottom. I need 2 strength. Oh, yeah, I don't need it, thanks, so. Yeah, I don't know how long the demo is or how my level up situation may be, but I can't in good faith take that, because it's, yeah, Very well then. She seems relieved not to have parted with her sword. Okay. She lies down next to the tree stump she was sitting on and covers herself with a blanket. I do the same. Before closing your eyes, you gaze at the sky, observing the mist-shrouded stars and the Ascendant's throne. You think about the mists, the army, and your mission. Success in your mission means gaining the Queen's favor. Gaining the Queen's favor means a comfortable life and a special place at the Ascendant's throne after death. But what is it that you want? I want to spread the Queen's wisdom and majesty across the mist. I want to bring peace between the mists and Gart. I want to explore the mists and uncover its mysteries, including the fate of the army. I want to embark on an exciting adventure. I want to become someone like Kai, whose actions will echo and be remembered forever. Bring peace between the mists and Gart. As you watch the mists gradually grow thick enough to blanket the throne, your eyes being heavy with the weight of heavy with the weight of sleep. That's an odd sentence. Sorry, that made my brain pause. Close my eyes. You wake up to a morning with the mist clearing. Your body is aching from the hard ground, but you feel reasonably rested. The fire has long since gone out, and Maya has already left. But you are not alone. In the trunk where Maya was sitting, 3 men are now seated, each of them wearing dark green armor with long capes touching the ground. The man in the middle has long black hair and is busy sharpening a piece of wood with a knife. The bald one to his left is munching on something, and the hooded figure to his right is watching you. Good morning, the guy says, eyeing you. The others shift their focus to you. We got a bit worried you might not wake up. You sense trouble. I sit up without any sudden movements. Who are you? We are the Knights of the Mists, says the man in the middle with a gruff voice. His pitch-black hair falls down to his shoulders, his face clean-shaven. You've heard about the Knights of the Mists before. They were law enforcers in the Mists, initially loyal to Diego until Kai the Written won their allegiance. The man gestures with his knife towards himself. Name's Fool. He points to the bald man. That one's Fury. And he points to his right. And that one is Bulk. And you? I'm Will. Hey, gamer. How's it going? Hope you're doing well today. We're doing our Demo Day showcase. And what the hell are you doing here, Will? I come from Gart. Do I want to provoke these guys by not stating my business? That's none of your business. So be it, Vol says. Then he changes the subject. We are looking for a woman, about average height, blue eyes, missing an arm, and we think you might just know where this lady is. She usually introduces herself as Maya. Yeah, I hope you're doing well. I just told them my business is my own, so I'm not going to ask theirs. I don't want to get involved in trouble. I tell the truth. These guys will probably kill me. I should tell them the truth. I've never seen... shouldn't tell them. Yeah, I've never seen her. I got this incredibly strong gut feeling that you're bullshitting. Vol motions towards the hilt of his sword. Come clean and save us all the hassle. The woman is a murderer. There's no point in protecting her. Why would I lie to 3-armed knights? I'm telling the truth. Fuck, I have No, my Pathfinder luck is leaking into my video game luck. No! I can't have this happen. I can't have cursed in-game... I can't have cursed digital dice. God forbid I ever start to play Dungeon Dice Monsters, if that's ever made a thing from Konami. Actually, no, they probably make that a pachinko machine instead. Never mind. Vol lets out a sigh, his patience dwindling. Last chance, buddy. No. Is she really more important than your life? I prefer not to put her in a difficult situation. All right, have it your way, Vol says with a hint of disappointment. He casually tosses the knife and twig aside, then unsheaths his sword from his belt. Simultaneously, Fury and Bulk both reach for their weapons, taking their stances. It's 1 against 3. I prepare for a fight. Vol moves slowly and carefully to your left. Fury takes his position on your right. Things are going well. My grandparents had their 60th wedding anniversary that last week. Oh, that's sweet. Hope you had a good time there. Let's see. And Bolt keeps a bit of distance while preparing his bow. Okay, combat in a text-based format. This will be fun. Combat is turn-based. You have 3 action points, and different actions consume varying amounts of AP. Don't forget to equip your items. See the encyclopedia for more information. Where's the encyclopedia? Equip that. I did not realize that I did not have them equipped already. Oops. Is it? Oh, sweet. Oh, this is where I can do setting stuff too. Wonderful. Let's lower that a little bit. There we go. Encyclopedia. Combat. Here we are. You have 4 options during your turn. Attack, use your equipped weapon to deal damage. You can also apply the skills you've learned. If no weapon is equipped, you can use your hands. You will need to roll an attack roll. Magic, use your equipped magic spell book. Spells can be used to attack, heal, or create certain effects. Provides armored defense equal to half your dexterity, minimum of 1, and includes the bonuses from an equipped shield. The shield's bonus is added to half your dexterity, rounded down. This ability costs 2 AP to activate. End turn and enemy phase is important. You cannot use a sword to attack enemies in the back row if there are enemies in the front row. You can attack enemies in the front row with a bow, but you'll have a -2 disadvantage on an attack roll. Okay. Once the combat ends, you can loot the enemies. Items you don't take will be lost. Okay. Good thing I did not take the sword then, because I don't want to have too much inventory slot taken up. And yeah, inventory. Once you drop an item, it will be lost forever. Equip 2 rings and 1 amulet and a amulet necklace at the same time. You can equip a shield while wielding a one-handed weapon, right? Yeah. This is a good system. I'm liking this so far. I'm also liking the world building here too. Oh my god. Oh, they have a full-ass glossary for the months of the year. Let's see. Win, Ashi, Naya, Tara, Shah, Dama, Asak, Yanti, Kara, The Throne, The Survivors, Motherland, Barang, Gart, Blor, Dreadfog, Blorwalker. Oh, that's really nice that they have this here. That's wonderful. Thank you. That's awesome. I love that. All right, well, I guess to start, I've got 15 mana, and then I've got 9 armor with the addition of my leather. Actually, it said something about my backpack. Queen's Medallion, Journal, 50 coins, bedroll, and ink 5. You know what the implication of this ink 5 brings to mind for me? If whether or not I need to use ink to save my game. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but we'll see. Like, I don't mind if that's the idea, so long as you're given ample amounts of ink, but who knows? Sorry, I'm stretching my neck. Okay. In that case, let's see. Let's attack. Okay, so this is my current HP. Okay, another down. I see. All right, and now, beautiful. And I get a bow, and I get a, oh yeah, that payout's nice. But it's dexterity 2 to equip. There we go, and finish that. Okay, made it through our first combat. Drink a potion. Oh, they only heal. Oh, that only heals 3. Okay, good to know. The 3 men fight fairly. They rely too much on their numerical advantage and underestimate you. As a result, all 3 men end up on the ground. Bulk and Fury dead, Vol wounded. Vol groans in pain from the deep wound in his stomach, coughing and writhing. He expects you to finish him off. He doesn't beg for mercy or plead. There's not even anger in his eyes. He simply watches you, waiting for the job to be done. Can't risk him coming after me for revenge. I kill him. Vol simply closes his eyes, accepts his fate, and joins the others. Hive the bodies in the bushes. Leave the rest to nature. I don't want to leave any signs. You drag the bodies one by one and hide them. Few people spend much time in these parts, so the bodies are likely to remain undiscovered. Tutorial save system. There are 3 ways to save your game progress. First is manual saving, which requires 1 ink item. The second is resting, either by setting up camp or staying at an inn. The third and final way is praying at a statue of the Ascendant or the Queen. The game will autosave when you reach certain points. Oh, cool. So it's more than just one means of saving. That's wonderful. So if I did a save here, what I wonder is if I could rename the save, but I'm guessing not. Wait, no, I don't want to quit the game. No, return. Time to hit the road. As you come down from the mountain pass, the air starts to warm up. Trees now are less denser, the fog thicker. You don't have a map, and even if you had one, the fog would render it almost useless. You will have to rely on your senses to find your way. You arrive at a fork in the road, one path curling left and the other to the right. Standing at the very center of the split is a wooden signpost. Beneath it, some dark rests on the ground. Dark? I think that's supposed to be dirt. I don't... It looks like a pile of rocks, but it's hard to make out exactly what it is. I get closer to the sign. You notice what lies in front of the sign. Oh, they meant to say rock. Okay. Yeah, there's gonna... Yeah, grammatical fixes are the only real thing that I would say is something that'd be good, but otherwise I'm having a good time with this. You notice what lies in front of the sign isn't a rock, but a human body. The body is seated with its back leaning against the wooden sign, legs stretched out in front. Its head hangs limply towards the ground, its clothes stained with dried blood. Check to see if it's alive. Bending down beside the body, you check for a pulse, but no luck. You realize the figure is a woman, maybe in her 50s. She must have been dead for maybe 2 or 3 days. Judging by the bite marks on her neck, it seems she was killed by a wild animal. The peculiar aspect is how she has been left here, almost as if desperately placed, or deliberately placed, not desperate, deliberately placed. You wonder if it could be the work of Vol and his companions, but that's very unlikely. There might be useful items on her. Well, there wasn't any kind of description of, like, what she had on her. I think I've got a bunch of shit on me. I don't want to. Yeah. Uh-oh. On the sign's left, you can make out the words cloud fissures. The right side, however, is obscured by dust and tree branches. As you extend your hand to clear it, a sudden growl from behind startles you, sending shivers down your spine. When you turn around, you come face to face with the murderer of the elderly woman. A leopard, as large as a bear. It approaches you slowly and cautiously, keeping a watchful eye on both you and the woman. I cast a harmless spell to scare it off. Wait, oh shit, I don't have any spells. And it's the best, really, the best roll that I can do, and I don't have any spell. God damn it. I freeze and avoid sudden movements. I shout at the top of my lungs, waving my arms. I approach the tree. Can leopards climb trees? Because if they can, I don't think that's a wise move. Hold on. Can leopards climb trees? Yeah, they can climb trees. That would be a really stupid move. Okay, yeah, no, I'm not climbing a tree. No sudden movements. It gets closer and closer, and until there's only a single step between you. You catch a glimpse of your reflection in its large yellow eyes and smell its stinking breath as it hits your face. Top of my lungs shout. Hey! That's nice. The creature startles with your sudden movement, swiftly moving its head between your hands and your face. It pulls its body back, poised as if it's about to pounce on you, but instead of attacking, it retreats, putting some distance between you. I watch him go away. A little further away, it turns its head, observing you with an eerily human-like expression that sends shivers down your spine. Instead of a mere instinct-driven wild creature, it seems like a thoughtful human being, sizing you up. With that, it vanishes into the mist. Now you know what Maya meant about animals. I take a moment to catch my breath, then I check the unreadable part of the sign. The sign reads, Compass. I continue my journey. I'm going to go to Compass. That seems like a town-sounding name. A. As the sun begins to set, the colors of the throne grow more vivid and distinct. While you waver between setting up camp for the night or pressing on, the silhouettes of several buildings emerge from behind the veil of mist. Must be Compass, you think to yourself. I continue forward. The mist thickens as you move forward, its color growing darker with each step. With each step. Massive fires lit at the settlements pierce through the mists, creating scattered yellow patches in the haze. When you get close enough, you realize these are not just ordinary flames. Their color is a much deeper orange, and their movement patterns resemble the motion of mist rather than normal flames. They look like orange mists pushing against the dark mist. I enter the village. At Compass, you're greeted by chaos. People are running back and forth in haste and panic. The sound of strange fires is drowned out by shouts and screams. You notice barrels, weapons, and makeshift walls being carried from place to place. As you move through the turmoil, no one seems to notice you. A group of young people practicing with swords catches your attention. The way they grip their weapons shows how inexperienced they are. This is likely the first time they've ever held a blade. At the very center of the village stands a statue. It depicts a human figure with its back turned toward you. To your right, you notice a crowd gathering in front of a 2-story wooden building, all shouting. A woman is desperately facing the crowd, standing at the forefront of the building. I approach the crowd. They won't attack during Dread Fog, the woman shouts at the crowd, though her words do little to cut through the noise. The brown-skinned woman has cropped, wavy gray hair. Her sharp features give her the appearance of someone in her 40s. We have enough blow, she shouts again. No one can touch us. Nobody seems to listen to her. That's enough, she finally snaps. Silence falls. Either disperse now and get back to work, she says, raising her index finger in a warning gesture, or I'll deal with you myself before the soldiers get the chance. Dread Fog. A fog that cloaks everything in a shroud of darkness, and Blore. A rare and precious ore that, when burned, emits an orange light strong enough to pierce even the thickest fog. Ooh, okay, so that's how they do it. Well, I watch as the crowd disperses unhappily. You stand still as the crowd disperses around you. The woman notices you and studies you as if trying to figure out who you are. Who are you? I haven't seen you before. Her tone is tense. I introduce myself. When they hear the word Herald, the people around you pause in surprise and look at you. A moment later, they glance nervously at the woman and then return to their tasks. The woman tries to hide her surprise but fails. The Queen's Herald? Here? She looks you up and down. At a time like this? She gestures for you to come inside. Come, let's talk inside. I follow her inside. The building, as neglected inside as it is outside, was once an inn. Now all that remains are dusty tables and chairs piled into the corners. The counters stand empty, and the floors are filthy. The windows grimy enough to make certain unnecessary muffle almost. Wait, the windows grimy enough to make curtains unnecessary. Sorry, I misread curtains as certains. I'm like, what the fuck? Curtains unnecessary. The muffle almost all the noise from the outside. In the center of the inn, people sit in a rough circle of chairs, deep in discussion. They haven't noticed you or the woman yet. I'm Angies, the woman introduces herself. I'm the mayor of Compass. She extends her hand and drawing your attention from the group to herself. Did Quan send you? Quan? Angies grips your hand firmly. Good, then you might be useful to us. She turns her head towards the group who are still in discussion. Come, let me introduce you to these poor souls. I follow her. Angies gestures to an empty chair among the circle for you to sit and steps into the middle, interrupting the group's discussion. The 4 people in the group turn their eyes to you, then back to Angies, expecting an explanation. Apologies for interrupting your debate, Angies says, pulling a small pipe from her pocket and packing it with tobacco. Allow me to introduce our guest, Will, the Queen's Herald, here to help us. The group shifts their attention to you. Actually, I'm not the Queen's Herald, a young man from the group interjects before you finish. You're from God, then? Yes, but I'm not here to help you. I'm just looking for the army. The young man gives you a startled, peculiar look. Even so, Angies says to you as she sits down, helping us might aid you in your mission as well. No, Angies. Another voice cuts in. An older man with unusually long white hair and a beard glances at you sideways. Are we really going to try to involve a stranger in our problems like this? What's going on here? Our lives are being threatened, Angies explains, exhaling a plume of smoke from her pipe. Unjustly so, as you might expect. She leans forward, smirking faintly. And out here, there's no queen to defend our rights. So will her herald stand up for us instead? Let's see, depends if you truly need my help, and if I can be of assistance, then of course I will. I'd rather not be involved, but let me hear the details first. Let's hear the details first, because this might be the liberated trying to come after here. Angies turns to the young man who spoke earlier. Eddie, go on and explain. The problem is the soldiers of the mist, Eddie explains. The young man appears to be in his 20s and has brown hair gathered in a small tuft atop his head. Ah, so he's got a top knot. I have to hydrate a lot because this game's a lot of reading, which I don't mind. I like this. His thin beard and eyes match the color of his hair. They're claiming we haven't paid our taxes, but we have. Now they're trying to force us to pay again. Why do they claim you haven't paid? That puny tax collector disappeared. That's why, Angie says. She wipes her nose with her arm, leans back and crosses her legs. He took our money and vanished. And now we're the ones at fault. Disappearing seems to be the trend around here. The mist determines your path, says the mist determines your path, says the white-haired man, even if it's a dead end. What did the crowd want? They wanted me to reassure them that everything would be all right. Angies glances sideways at the others. Unfortunately, that's something I can't offer right now. What kind of help do you need? Finding that tax collector would be quite helpful, Eddie says. Angies lets out a deep sigh, a deep breath, and looks at Eddie. I do love the innocence of youth, she says. Then she turns to you. Only Karakan knows where the tax collector is, and he's not here, so don't bother looking. She leans forward. We need weapons. A lot of them. Eddie opens his mouth as if to interrupt, but Angies raises her hand, silencing him. Adults are speaking, Eddie. He's in his fucking 20s. All right. You don't really mean to fight the soldiers of the mists, do you? Exactly what I mean, Angie says. I'm old, and I've seen enough tyranny from these so-called leaders. I'd rather die defending myself than give Glenn a single coin. But what about us, Angies? Eddie asks. What if we don't want to throw our lives away like that? Angie turns to the other two people in the room. What do you think, Oswin? And Tom? I listen to Oswin and Tom. I want to show them that they can't easily exploit us, says the white-haired man, whose name you learned is Oswin. Tom, the broad-shouldered, stern-faced black man who hasn't spoken until now, says in a deep voice, Agreed. Let's say I find your weapons. Only in return, I've seen people practicing swords outside. They didn't look like fighters to me. Because they're not! Eddie tries to join the discussion again, but is silenced by Angies once more. Eddie, despite his youth, is skilled with a sword as any soldier of the Mists, Angies says. He shares his experience with the others, and that's my problem anyway, so don't worry about it. Let's say I find your weapons. What will I get in return? How deep is gratitude? Angies says with a sly grin. It may not mean much to you right now, but having friends in the Mists is important. And money, of course. Tell me the story from the beginning, then I will think about it. Let me tell it. Eddie asks for permission from Angies. She gives him a slight nod. His name is Verdun, he begins. He comes every 3 months to collect taxes, either in coin or in blore. He's not exactly a friendly man. Angies cuts in with a wicked grin. He means the bastard's a pimp. All right. Eddie clears his throat and continues. Glenn has been raising taxes constantly for the past 2 years. Every time Verdun comes, he demands more from us. Okay, why is he raising taxes? Because why wouldn't he? Angies asks. A tiny, helpless village with no military power? How could he resist exploiting it? This Verdun, what does he look like? Pale white skin, bold and bulging eyes. Eddie describes him. He has a fondness for dressing fancy, Angies adds. A belt studded with blore stones, silver bracelets. Alright, we already know what blore is, so I'll just let him continue. Last time Verdun came, he demanded twice the usual tax. Eddie continues. Of course, we refused at first, so he shouted, threatened us, then stormed out of the village. Then he returned with a few soldiers of the Mists. We knew this would happen. We had already gathered the rest of the tax and paid him. He took the payment and left us alone. And then he disappeared. A few days later, other soldiers of the Mists came asking where Verdun was. They searched the entire village, turned everything upside down, Eddie says. I continue listening. And now, Eddie says, letting out a deep breath before continuing, they're demanding payment again. We refused. They gave us a few days. If we don't pay within that time, they threatened to ransack the village. How many of them? 7 of them, Oswin says. It may not sound like much, but the Knights of the Mists are not to be underestimated. I'm sure they've already called for reinforcements, Angie says. Then she turns to you. Things are dire, as you can see, Herald. What do you say? Will you help us help this desperate and pitiful village? Sure. Perfect, Angie says, clapping her hands together. Eddie, keep training the people with sword. With the sword, Oswin makes sure no one's screaming and shouting in front of my building again. Tom, continue tending to everyone's needs. Angie turns to you. There's a dread fog tonight. Herald, you can't travel. You can stay in one of the rooms upstairs. They're not in the best shape, so my apologies. It's nice to meet them all. I say it's nice to meet them all and look for a room upstairs. As you stand up to leave the group, you notice Eddie looking at you as though he wants to say something. The young man seems to be holding something back, too hesitant to speak. Climbing the stairs and settling into a room upstairs, you can hear the group downstairs arguing amongst themselves. Although you can't make out the exact words, you can tell that Eddie is against the idea of fighting and is trying to convince Angies. Yeah, that's not good. Like, I won, but only for dumb luck at certain points and because they kept missing me. For now, you decide to put off the problem until tomorrow, and in the room you're in, there are 2 beds separated by a small table in the middle. The room feels unused, covered in dust. On the wall where the bed leans against, there's a window. The dread fog outside is making it difficult to illuminate the room, so you light the candle on the table. I get to bed and try to sleep. Oh, and I don't heal from certain points sleeping? Oh. I don't really care for that. All right, well, that's something to keep in mind. The creaking of the bed as you shift wakes you up. When you open your eyes, you see the room is still dark, with the candle faintly flickering. It must have been only 2 or 3 hours. The noise of the argument from downstairs has ceased, but when you look at the door, you notice a faint light seeping through from below. Someone must still be awake. I go downstairs. Rubbing your sleepy eyes, you quietly go downstairs. The chairs arranged in a circular pattern are now empty, except for one. Anjis is sitting there holding a cup, her eyes fixed on the ground. The large room is dimly lit by a few candles. Through the window, you can see the dark mist flowing like a river. Couldn't sleep? She slowly turns her head back, glancing at you standing on the stairs. She raises the cup gently, showing it to you. I can't sleep without a few barrels of this. Care to join? I grab myself a cup of beer and sit in one of the chairs. Hell yeah, crack open a cold one. After clinking your mugs with Anjis, you down the beer in one go. A bitter herb and a dry bread taste fills your mouth. So, very hoppy, I guess. Finishing her drink, Anjis lets out a hiccup and says, Tell me, Herald, is God any different from this hellhole? Yeah, it is. What about the Queen? Anjis sighs deeply, pouring herself another glass of beer. What about her? I take a sip of my beer. What is she like? Is she beautiful and charming as the stories say? The stories are exaggerated. It's just me after a heavy beer. I like you, Herald. You're honest, Angie says with a smile, giving you a light tap on the arm. Once I get this village in order, I'll go pay her a visit myself and see what all this beauty is about. She takes a large gulp from her beer and continues. I'll also ask her how she does it, you know. I barely manage a small village while she handles a whole continent. How did you end up as mayor of this village? I guess people like leaders who shout and command, and I'm one of those people, she says, her brown eyes looking down as memories flicker in her mind. It's strange, she adds. When I look back on my life, I realize how little control I actually had. Life pushed me, and I just kept walking. Do you regret it? A lot. Angie thinks for a moment, her expression distant. I wish I had taken more control. I wish I had been braver. The bad decisions of incompetent leaders have always shaped my life. She takes another sip. But not anymore. I won't let Glenn or anyone else dictate my life. The soldiers of the mist will leave just as quickly as they came. She looks at you. What about you? A series of random events and a matter of luck. Angie nods, though she seems lost in her own memories. You both continue drinking and chatting, the night fading into a blur. You vaguely recall laughing, clinking glasses together, and drinking until you were sick. Yeah, that sounds about right. Got a beer. Although, from the sounds of it, it probably would at least be better than Heineken or some shit. When you open your eyes, your head is throbbing. You find yourself in bed. Your stomach churns and you feel like you're about to vomit. It takes a few minutes to regain your composure. The candle has long since gone out and the dread fog has dissipated. The light streaming through the windows only worsens the pain in your head. I pull myself together and go out. Yeah. I got a little too fucked up last night. Got into a keg stand. As you step out of the empty inn and into the small village, you notice that the chaos from last night has faded. The people are continuing with their daily routines. The fog is light and the Blore fires have been extinguished. A few children are running around the statue in the center. You spot Eddie nearby instructing some on swordplay. To the north of the statue, there's a small shop, with Oswin sitting in the front. Angie and Tom seem to be nowhere in sight. I approach Eddie. Eddie moves fluidly among his students, shouting instructions as he dances with his sword. His brown hair whips through the air, sending sweat flying with each movement. The trainees try to resist his attacks, but their efforts are futile. As you approach, a few young trainees turn their attention to you. Eddie notices you too and halts the training. Hey, Will, he says, breathless, his thin brown tunic soaked with sweat. I was hoping to talk to you. There's a hint of exhaustion in his eyes. but his stance remains firm. But, where'd you learn to use a sword? At the third corner. I used to beg the military unit every day to train me, Eddie says with a slight smile. Since I was too young, they would scold me each time and send me back with my father's glassware shop. Eventually, they put me through an intense program just to make me give up. They wanted to break my spirit. He lowers his head in thought. But they underestimated my stupidity. Can you teach me how to use a sword? I didn't know this was something you were interested in. He raises an eyebrow. Of course I can teach you a few things. For a price. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't have enough for that. How's the training going? Terrible, Eddie says, running his hand through his sweaty hair. I feel like I'm preparing them for their deaths. In that case, what do you think about Angies? Eddie shrugs. I think she's a good leader, but I don't know. She's becoming more aggressive and irritable. He exhales sharply. She has no patience left for anything, and the less patience she has, the more indifferent she becomes. What do you want to talk about? About last night. Eddie gestures for the trainees to disperse. Break until midday, son, he says before turning back to you. If you don't mind, I'd like to discuss a few things I'd like to just keep between us. Sure. Eddie nods and sheaths his sword. You said you were looking for the army, right? Eddie glances around to make sure no one is listening. Lowering his voice, he continues. I might know a few things about that. Such as? I don't know what happened to them, but I know a few things that might be useful to you. He pauses and studies your reaction. If you help me, I'll tell you everything I know. What kind of help? I don't know what you think about helping Angies, he says, but I'm asking you not to. We can't stand against the soldiers of the mists. I'm sure you can see that. He gestures around with his hands. These people are not warriors. You have a better idea? Actually, yes, he says. If you somehow find the tax collector, dead or alive, you might be able to get the soldiers to leave us alone, without people dying. Do you know where I should look? I have no idea, he says. I do remember Verdant speaking with Oswin before he left the village. Maybe you could ask Oswin about it, without making it too obvious that you're looking for him. I see. He strokes his thin brown beard, lost in thought. Another option is to secretly pay the tax again without Angies knowing, but they're asking for a lot of money. I'm trying to gather what I can from here and there, but I'm sure I won't have enough in time. How much did you collect? I've managed to gather 150 coins, so we still need 350 more. Oh, so 500, he says, looking at you with an embarrassed expression. I know it's a lot, but it's about the lives of innocent people. You do, but no promises. See you around, Eddie. Let's go to Oswin, then. You find Oswin behind a stall, where various goods are laid out for sale. He is leaning back and reading a book. When your shadow falls over him, he looks up and meets your gaze. Welcome, Herald, he says, gesturing to the stall. Is there something that catches your eye? Looking at things for sale. Okay. I do need some more health potions. And they have a limited stock of stuff. What are you reading? This, he says, raising the book into the air. He turns the cover towards you. The Corners of Barang. It's a book about the history of the Corners. I've been reading it for the past 2 years or so. Can't seem to finish it. Tell me about Compass. In all my years of life, I have neither seen nor known a place as peaceful and unassuming, Oswin quotes. That's what Simon of Compass wrote about this place in his journal. Why is it called Compass? Oswin nods towards the statue in the center of the village. Kairakan, he says, his gleaming eyes of Blore face north, guiding many lost travelers. His gleaming eyes of Blore face north, guiding many lost travelers even during the dread fog. Tell me about its history. Oswin rolls up his sleeves as if he's been expecting this question and begins explaining. According to the book written by Simon of Compass, A small family named Oran established a farm here. Exact date is unclear, but in his book, Simon suggests it was between 117 and 120 AA. He pauses for a moment, trying to recall the details. The Oran family eventually sold the farm and returned to the Mist Dwellers. Simon found the last surviving member of the family on his deathbed, in the final stages of his life. So who is this Simon of Compass? A very famous historian, Osmond explains. He managed to fit numerous history books into his short 34-year life, shedding light on many mysteries with his research. He was born in Compass. He's the only historian who bothered to research this small village. Continue. According to what Simon wrote, Oran wasn't in the best state of mind, but Simon was still managed to learn a few things from him. Once the farm started bringing in some money, he hired a few workers. Those workers settled here with their families, and that's how this place gradually turned into a small village. I see. If you want to learn more, you can read Simon's book. I have a copy, but I don't really like lending it out. Borrowed books tend to not find their way back here. Tell me about Compass. I want to know more about you. I do enjoy talking about myself, Osmond says, closing his thick book and setting it aside. What would you like to know? How'd you find yourself here? I used to be a merchant in the Mist Dwellers. Osmond begins his story. I ran a small shop with my partner. Life was busy but good. Osmond exhales deeply, recalling the old days. Then I found out my partner was working behind my back. While I was none the wiser, he was laundering the monies of special clients. Oh. Of course, I didn't find out until the soldiers caught him. But he was prepared. All the blame fell on me. He tilts his head slightly and continues. Let me be given an honest enemy rather than a false friend. He quotes. Not sure if you understood the reference. He adds, 10 Pillars of the Sacred Family by Bertillo Helmund. What happened then? I ran, Osmond says. By chance, Angies was in the Mist Dwellers at the time. She used to stop by the shop every time she came by. Although we didn't know each other well, we were acquainted. I happened to run into her while I was fleeing and told her everything. She gave me a new life here. Now my dear partner is running the shop alone in the Mist Dwellers. As for me, I'm just minding my own business here. Aren't you afraid I'll rat you out to the soldiers of the Mists? Who are those special clients? To be honest, I don't know. But there's no way they're wealthy and... But there's no doubt they're wealthy and powerful people. He leans back. Angies always says it could be Glenn himself. He smiles slightly. Though to be fair, Angies blames Glenn for everything bad. Afraid do you want revenge on your partner? Revenge doesn't heal wounds, it makes them permanent. Osmond quotes once more. I'm content with my life, and even if I do nothing, I'm sure one day all my partner's crimes will fall on him. After a moment of thought, he adds, or maybe I'm just fooling myself. Sorry to hear that. Don't worry, my friend, I'm content with my life. Although a betrayal by a friend is heartbreaking, it's not something I let ruin my life. You don't seem worried about the soldiers of the Mists, because I have complete faith that Angies will solve this problem. He straightens his posture, relaxing his back. I haven't seen a problem she hasn't overcome yet. Are you and Angies close? She likes to consult me before making certain decisions, he says with a smile, clearly pleased by the thought, and I share my thoughts as much as I can. Sometimes we sit and discuss the books we've read for hours. That's all I want to know. Eddie said Vernon talked to you before leaving Compass. He did, Osmond says, pushing the white hair that fallen in front of his face behind his ears. He bought some supplies and left, complaining about how vile the village was. What did he buy? He bought some ropes, bandages, and chains, Osmond says, stroking his white beard as he tries to recall. If he got anything else, I don't remember. Did he mention where he was going? He didn't say, but I remember seeing them head west. He thinks for a moment. There was a greedy look in his eyes. Then again, that's just how Verdun looks in general. Thank him and leave. Come again, Herald. I look for Angies. After circling the entire village several times, you finally find the grumpy woman at the eastern exit of the village, helping people erect a fortification wall around the settlement. She's shouting at other men while holding up the wooden wall, sweating as others drive it into the ground. When the wall is secure, she steps back and dusts off her hands. "Now that's more like it," she says while wiping the sweat from her short white hair. "I already feel safer." She grins at the other men and pats their arms in support. Wait until she notices. As she laughs with the other men, one of them gestures towards you, drawing her attention to you. She approaches to you, pulling up a pipe from her pocket and packing it with tobacco. "I figured you'd be long gone by now. Didn't think you'd sleep in this late." She glances back at the others. "Guess I forgot there's nothing in God that really forces you to wake up early." She adds with a sly grin. The others seem to find it amusing, but suppresses their smiles. "You don't seem worried at all." Lighting her pipe and blowing smoke into the air, she gestures for you to follow her. Together you find a suitable rock to sit on side by side and watch the villagers continue their work on the wall. The sun is bright, the mist nearly gone. The birds chirp in the air. If you didn't know the village was preparing for battle, it could have been a peaceful moment. "I'm worried," she admits as she watches the men. "I'm just trying not to show it." "You still determined to fight the soldiers?" "Of course I'm not," Angie says, then suddenly jumping to her feet, she shouts at the men. "Enough with the idle chatter! I'm the mayor! I get to rest! You back to work!" The men return to their tasks without a moment's hesitation. Angie sits back down. "My hope is that they see how stubborn and unyielding we are, so they won't dare cross us again. I don't think the soldiers will let Glenn appear weak in front of a small village." "Contrary to what people may think, Glenn isn't stupid," Angie says, taking a puff from her pipe, exhaling as she continues. "He's well aware of the importance of the taxes and other goods he collects from Compass." I've seen a statue at the center of the village. "Yeah, it says Karakan, the man with the biggest dick," Angie explains and then raises her head towards the throne, which appears dim in the daylight, and says, "Sorry." "Well then." What can you tell me about Compass?" "Just another fog-covered shithole," Angie says. "What do you want to know?" How come there are no trained soldiers?" "There used to be," Angie says, takes a puff from her pipe and exhales the smoke. "Years ago, Glenn ordered every young man who could hold a weapon to go to the Mist Dwellers. Supposedly, he was going to train them and make them soldiers and provide better protection for the village." She spits on the ground. "Fucking liar." Tell me about its history." "If you're looking for a history lesson, you talk to Oswin. I'm sure he can read 10 different books about this place's history and will quote them all." "Why is it called Compass?" "How should I know?" Wow. You know anything about the army? "I wish I knew so I could use it as a bargaining chip for your help. But unfortunately, no. Just nonsensical gossip." "Tell me about the gossip." "I heard there was a conflict between the Written and Glenn," says Angies. "And Glenn, our genius clan leader, somehow managed to defeat the Queen's best knight. I might have believed that if I hadn't seen that scrawny Glenn brat myself." "Why don't you like Glenn?" "Why would I like a spoiled brat?" While keeping her eyes on the working men, Angies takes another pull from her pipe. This time it makes her cough. "Everyone talks about how clever and cunning he is, just like his father. But if you ask me, he's just pretending to be his father." After clearing her throat and spitting on the ground, she continues. "Not that I like Diego either, but at least that man had presence. When you thought of a leader, he was the first person that came to mind. What's Glenn's presence? What does he want? He just sits in his chair, making our lives more difficult." "I see. If you go to Mist Dwellers, Glenn will probably want to meet you. Say hi if you see him, and spit to his face." What about you?" "I don't like talking about myself," Angie says. "Hey!" she shouts suddenly. "Does that wall look good to you, Dingen? Work properly, I'm watching you." The man she yelled at lets out a deep, weary breath before obeying. "But go ahead, ask." Tell me about your life before, Mayor." My family were farmers here," Angie says, taking a deep drag from her pipe before releasing the smoke into the air. "We had a 2-acre plot where we grew oats. I used to help my family out." She points to the south village. "The farm is still there. When both my parents died, I handed it over to someone else." Continue listening. "I was always the troublemaker, the loud kid who embarrassed my family in front of the whole village. So when the mayor's son took a liking to me, everyone was surprised." She chuckled softly to herself. "Quentin," she murmurs. He was warm-hearted, always focused on finding solutions. After his father died, he was supposed to become the next mayor. Angie pauses for a moment. I'm sure you can guess the rest. Something happened the moment. Something happened? I'm not going to say you killed him, no. Angie nods silently, lost in her memories. Though questions linger in your mind, you decide to keep them to yourself for now. When we first met, you asked if Quan sent me. Who is he? Angie pauses for a long time, so much so that you start to think she didn't hear the question. Finally, she says, You'll meet eventually, and closes the subject there. What about the Queen? Angie tilts her head slightly upward, glancing at the throne. To be honest, I don't really spend much time thinking about her or her father, she shrugs. Thinking about them makes me feel small and insignificant. Then when you die, you won't be able to join the return to the motherland. Angie responds with a contemptuous laugh. You and Eddie would get along great. That's all I wanted to know. I'll leave you alone. The gray statue with Blore eyes stares at the Shah in the sky. Okay, 5th month of the year, named after one of the 23 ships. Okay, so the 23 ships each have a name for certain things. Okay. Its muscular form is exaggerated with the chest as broad as a bull's. The expression on its face is inscrutable. It is anger, disappointment, or a mix of both? You don't read the inscription on the platform below to know who it is. Karakan the Ascendant, the wisest and most powerful being. I clasp my hands and pray. You drop to your knees and start praying. For a moment, the world around you fades. No voices of people, no ground beneath you. All that remains is the piercing gaze of Karakan, watching from the throne above. As your prayer ends and you open your eyes, color returns to the world, and you find yourself once more in the realm of the living. Also, we have an ad break coming up in about 3.5 minutes as a heads up. Old Inn. The inn's interior is quite neglected and messy, both the counters I leave the inn. Let's try. So, said west, right? Actually, let's get some rations. There we go. So, said west, huh? Yeah, rope and stuff, so maybe he went into the mine. As you follow the misty western road, the soil beneath your feet gradually hardens into stone, while the trees give way to sparse grass. The morning is still young, and the mist is not too dense. You can see it gently streaming. Yeah, you can see it gently streaming down from the treetops like a slow-moving river. When you reach the end of the path, you find yourself standing before the entrance to a mine. The mine's entrance is guarded by a rotting wooden door. Standing in front of it is a man, with a hammer in one hand and a few nails held between his teeth. He appears to be trying to repair the door. His horse is grazing a little further away, tied to a tree. He doesn't notice you approach at first. The sound of the hammer striking wood echoes faintly in the air. When he catches sight of you from the corner of his eye, he flinches slightly and spits the nails out of his mouth. I greet the man. He returns your greeting with a tense expression. If you've come to enter the mine, you're too late, traveler, he says. Glenn ordered the mine to be sealed. You see wooden planks scattered on the ground. It seems the man has only just begun the process of sealing the entrance. Is the mine abandoned? Aside from the blow walkers and the miners they've killed, yes. It's empty inside. Who are you? No, not anyone important, the man says. Judging by his thin hair and graying beard, he looks to be in his 40s. His almost perfectly oval-shaped belly suggests a closer relationship with alcohol. Why did Glenn order it? As far as I know, he says, hiccuping mid-sentence, the place is crawling with blowwalkers and isn't safe. He gives you a strange look, especially not for random travelers passing through. Blorwalkers, a humanoid yet mindless creature. Embedded in the center of their foreheads is a blor shard, which allows them to see and navigate within the mist. They feed on small animals and are aggressive towards humans with sharp teeth and powerful arms. They can be incredibly lethal. What else do you know about the mine? A blow mine, that's all. He makes a strange noise, somewhere between a hiccup and a cough. Nothing special about it. All right, I need to enter the mine. It's too late, the man says, moving his hammer and returning to his work. Glenn specifically ordered the entrance to be sealed. If you really want to, you'll need to ask him for permission. He grabs a nail and places it to the wood, starting to hammer it in. Shit, I bought too many rations. Oh well. All right, well, we've got an ad break starting, so 3 minutes of ads and then 1 hour of no pre-rolls, so get yourself some water, stretch, whatever you need to do, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you for your patience, everybody. All right, let's get back into this, see if we can make this roll. The man meets your stern look with one of his own. Think it's easy to scare old drunken men, huh? Do you have any idea how many battles I've seen? He pauses for a moment, then his face lights up as if struck by an idea. But, he adds, if you agree to bring me some blow from inside, I can give you an hour. Deal. The man sidesteps to open the mine's entrance. Beyond the wooden door lies a darkness that is anything but inviting. As you step inside, you notice a corridor ahead, and at its far end, a faint orange glow. A faint orange glow flickers dimly. Clack! The wooden door slams shut behind you, cutting off the light from outside and plunging you into complete darkness. Spinning around, you spot the man's face peering through a small hole in the door. Sorry about this, traveler, he says. There's no way you're making it out of there alive. So be a good sport and hand over all your coin and belongings, and maybe I won't leave you locked in here. I'll find another exit, then I'll come after you. Be ready. The man begins to laugh, though his laughter is interrupted by a hiccup. Good luck. Let's see how long it takes for you to change your mind. I'll give you an hour. If you don't cooperate by then, I'll seal this place up and leave. Oh, and one more thing, he adds, as if it just occurred to him. There's no other way out of the mine. Dive into the dark mine. You move toward the faint glow at the end of the dark corridor. The passage curves to the right, opening into a wide chamber. The ceiling rises nearly 5 meters above you, covered in faintly glowing blur that casts a dim light across the room. Leaning against the walls are broken wooden ladders. At the far end of the room, you notice some kind of a wooden structure. To your right, another corridor leads deeper into the mine. There's a strange smell of burning in the air, and everything feels unnervingly still, as if frozen in time. Check the wooden structure. It seems like a lift system operated by ropes and wooden columns. The gap on the ground extends into the darkness, with the platform likely located on the lower level. On both sides of the mechanism are rotating wheels used to move the platform. Rotate the wheels. Despite the... I don't have a rope. Oh man, I should have sold some of this shit back at the fucking village. I'm an idiot. Despite the pushing with all your strength, it barely budges, only creaking in protest. When you look down into the void, you can just barely make out the platform below. If you jump, it might hurt like hell, but you'll survive. Probably. Check out the chamber again. Walk down to the right. I'm dropping one of these. I don't need 2 swords. I should have sold these when I went to the village. I should have done that. You walk down the narrow corridor. It gets tighter and tighter as you move along. The air inside the mine feels as though it's slowly thinning, no matter how deep you try to breathe. It's never enough. Eventually, you reach a small opening, and you're met with a terrible stench and a dead body lying against the wall, a pickaxe lodged in the man's skull. The opening leads into another corridor. Take the pickaxe. You grip the pickaxe with both hands and pull it free from the poor miner's skull, its blade coated in his dry blood. The sound it makes as it comes loose churns your stomach. Check out the body. The nearly skeletal body must have been dead for at least 2 weeks. There's nothing useful in its pockets, but tucked under its arm is a small note. It reads, Glenn, I apologize for the delay in reporting back. I'm sure you've sent someone after me. Worried, but I'm fine. Don't worry. After all, that doesn't mean everything is going smoothly. Or however, that doesn't mean everything's going as smoothly. Quite the opposite. You won't believe what I have to say. The note is written in elegant handwriting. It's hard to believe this belongs to a miner. The reports we received were true. Let me start with that. The miners really did discover a talking boar walker. Witnessing a creature we assumed to be mindless speak. I must say it was an interesting experience. So interesting, in fact, I began studying it immediately, and it only occurred to me to write to you once everything went wrong. Follow the corridor. You press deeper into the mine. The corridor soon widens into another chamber, smaller than the last, and once again you're greeted by a corpse, slumped against the wall directly opposite you. The body's head hangs limply to one side, frozen. There is something that faintly glows in its hand. The dim light barely reaches beyond its hand, casting weak shadows across the space. Check out the body. As you approach the body with silent steps, leaning in to examine the glowing orange stone in its hand, a small lump of blore. You also find a rope several meters long, strong enough to support the weight of a person. There's no obvious sign of what caused the death. When you nudge the body gently, it topples to the side, revealing a narrow tunnel behind it, just large enough for a dog to squeeze through. Take the rope, take the blore. Previous room. I want to go to the lift. There we go. You carefully grip the rope and begin your descent. As you go, the rope gradually gives into your weight, snapping in sections. You speed up. The rope snaps completely as you plummet downward. Since you manage to get close to the ground, you land safely on your knees and meet the ground without taking much damage. The rope falls after you. The sound of your landing reverberates through the mine, traveling into the depths before fading into silence. A moment later, guttural growls rise from the darkness in response. You are not alone in the mine. Once again, you find yourself in a large open cavern. The blore deposits on the ceiling emitting a dimmer glow, casting just enough light to reveal the still forms of the blore walkers scattered across the floor. There are no human corpses in sight. Every wall of the chamber, except for the side with the lift system, leads to a corridor. From the darkness of these passages, faint noises reach your ears, clicking sounds, shuffling footsteps, echoes that you can't quite identify. Check out the corpses of the blore walkers. The blore chunks embedded in their foreheads are neither cracked nor entirely extinguished, as lifeless as their empty eyes. Their gray bodies are covered in red scratches that look like they were made with pickaxes. Through some of their open mouths, you can see sharp teeth covered in black stains. Check out the lift. Several of the ropes holding up the wooden platform, large enough to fit 4 or 5 people, have snapped. The remaining ones don't look much sturdier, but they might still hold a single person. On either side of the platform, there are rotating pulleys where the ropes are fastened. Turning them should allow you to ascend. However, first you need to pull the rock-filled container off the platform, which I can't do because I don't have the strength. Let's go left. The corridor is narrow and short. After a few steps, it curves to the left and opens into a small chamber. Before stepping inside, you crane your neck to peek in. There's almost no blore, yet the room is dimly illuminated by a wall of glowing mist. The mist wall is the size of a door, sealing the entrance to a tunnel, and it casts a human silhouette in the shadows. The figure stands motionless, watching the rippling waves of mist. Suddenly, it tilts its head, looking directly at where you're hiding. You quickly pull back and avoid being detected. In that brief moment, however, you catch a glimpse of the orange glow on the figure's forehead. A blore walker. I go back. Let's go to the right. Another one. The corridor is wide enough for 2 people to walk side by side. The marks on the walls suggest that there was once blore here, but it has since been mined away. As you approach the other end, the sounds coming from the depths grow larger. You sense movement ahead. And you get close enough to see your opening, you finally come face to face with the reason the mine was sealed. The blore walkers. 3 of them. One stares at the remaining blore on the mines as mine on the wall as if hypnotized. The second one crouches facing the wall, making nauseating sounds as it devours something in its hands. The third sits slumped against the wall, seemingly lifeless, but the blur on its forehead has not lost its glow. At the far end of the room, there is another opening, and from it comes an intense orange light. I go back. Corridor ahead. You let the corridor pull you in. The narrow passage tightens as you move forward, forcing you to sidestep. It curves to the right and opens into a smaller chamber. It appears to be a storage room. Along the walls are scattered tools and stacks of wooden crates. Inside the crates, you spot blore and other various materials. There was not anything attached to the roll that there was not anything attached to that dialogue option that would have suggested it was a roll. All right, I'm guessing that was a dex thing. Just as you're about to step forward, you notice a thin wire stretched out right in front of you. A trap. The wire is connected to mechanisms on either side of the room. Oh wait, that must have been just like a story check thing. Never mind. The wire is connected to mechanisms on either side of the room. Whatever the trap was meant to trigger, you narrowly avoided it. You don't notice any more traps, but you remain cautious with every step you take. The room contains a chest and a few items that might prove useful. There's also a staircase leading further down into the depths. Take the coin. I already have pickaxe. Take the potions. Check out the chest. The wooden chest is wide enough to fit a sword and stands almost knee-high. With its decorations made of colorful stones and delicate metalwork, it looks more like an expensive chest you would find in the palace of a wealthy lord, rather than in a dark, abandoned mine. There must be quite valuable things here. You try to open it after removing the crates piled on top, but as expected, it's locked. The metal lock appears sturdy, but it looks like it could break if you hit it hard enough. I don't have... I should have bought some lockpicks. I wasn't expecting to run into this. But we do it. You slam your weapon onto the lock as if it were a thief who had stolen your money. Although it doesn't open in the first few attempts, you feel that it's weakened. Or you feel it weakens. You feel that it weakens. By the 30th try, it can no longer resist your persistence and finally gives in. You slowly open the chest lid and peek inside. While there are a few things that might be useful to you, you're somewhat disappointed. Who would use such a lavishly designed chest to store a few pieces of trash? Take the arrows. Take the blore. I can't use the sword, so... oh well. Down the stairs. With each step you take down the stone stairs, the room below comes further into view, revealing the horrors that have unfolded there. The wide chamber is filled with human corpses scattered in every direction. The ceiling stretches high, beyond what your eyes can see. Right in front of you, a wall formed by shifting waves of mist blocks the entrance, which wide enough for 2 wagons. Which is why. Sorry, on top of my hydration brain not working, there are some grammatical things here. Which is wide enough for 2 wagons to pass through. The wall shines bright, illuminating the whole chamber. The mist forming the walls shifts slowly, drifting in various directions. At the very center of the wall, suspended by the swirling mists, is a boar walker with its arms and legs spread wide. However, the light on its forehead is not the usual orange. It glows a deep purple. To the far left of the room lies a wide-mouthed chasm. Its edges, like the rest of the chamber, are surrounded by lifeless bodies. "Come," says a voice deep and resonant. At first it feels as if the mine itself has spoken. Then you notice the eyes of the walker within the mist walls slowly open, locking onto you. "Approach," it commands, its voice echoing through the mine. I check the chasm. You approach the edge of the chasm and stare deeper into the dark void. Its bottom is invisible. Still, you feel the urge to jump. Still a small stone. The darkness swallows the stone, and after a few seconds later, you hear it hit the water. It must have been no more than 7 to 8 meters long. The darkness looks inviting, but if the water is not deep enough, jumping could end in disaster. Sure. It's the demo. Why not? You take a deep breath, gathering your courage, and let yourself fall into the seemingly endless, inviting darkness. The icy water embraces you. Luckily, the water is much deeper than you expected. As the bubbles surrounding you fade, you see skeletons resting at the bottom. Now home to moss and small fish. Veins of blur at the bottom reveal a tunnel to you. So into the tunnel. You follow the veins of blur, swimming through the tunnel. It's wide enough for two people to swim side by side comfortably, but it gradually starts to narrow as you progress. The veins of blur become thinner and thinner until they are nearly non-existent. You find yourself swimming blindly in the darkness. Oh, that's the worst! I don't like... Alright, I keep swimming. Oh! You keep moving forward, gripping the tunnel walls, but the end seems nowhere in sight, and your breath is running out. It's too late to turn back now. Your only hope is to reach the end of the tunnel as quickly as possible. You start swallowing water. With every ounce of willpower left, you push yourself forward. It's no use. The darkness swallows you whole. When you open your eyes, coughing and drenched, you find yourself staring up at the sky. You take a deep breath of fresh air, filling your lungs, and crawl out of the small pool of water you're in. For a moment, you focus solely on the warmth of the sun against your skin. Wait, I'm not dead? Like, I'm like, it's just not, like, this is, I thought I was restarting. Hello? You're in a small grassy clearing surrounded by rocks. After the darkness of the mine, the colors of the grass appear unnaturally vivid and vibrant in your eyes. A little further ahead, a human body lies motionless in the grass. Check the body. The body belongs to a man with pale skin, bald, and appearing to be in his 30s. His clothes suggest he was of wealth. Like you, he must have jumped from the chasm, but it seems he drowned before reaching the end of the tunnel. Check anything that might be useful. You find a dagger in a rather heavy pouch. Oh, I'll take the pouch and the ledger. Most of the notes in the ledger have been erased. The ink has smudged, making it unreadable. However, as you flip through, you find a few passages that are still legible. Most of them seem to be records of collected taxes and debt accounts. And this must be Verdun, the tax collector. Hey, I take the ledger. Might show to the soldiers as evidence. Climb the rock. You emerge covered in wounds and dirt. You struggle to determine your location, but you believe you've surfaced somewhere north of the mine's main entrance. Finally, being freed from the suffocating darkness of the mines feels good. But the ground trembles slightly beneath your feet, and you get a feeling that you'll eventually return to the mine. The journey isn't over yet. And that is the end of the demo. Okay, well, that was very extensive. Wow, there were a lot of options that you could get to play with this game, and yeah, it turns out that if you just go like separate skill point allocations, that definitely shoots you in the foot to start with, because I could not use any of probably the really interesting or really powerful stuff that I had on me, or that I could get rather. But that was Herald of the Mists. Honestly, really cool. Really liked it. Liked the writing. Some fixes to the grammar could be good, but otherwise I really like the world building, and I really like the tabletop systems that are being implemented here. And that's something that I've really liked with a lot of indie games, is that they're trying their own spin on a tabletop formula, and I think this could be a really fun game to try out. So yeah, I would recommend you all go give this a wish list and support the devs however you can. Again, that's Herald of the Mists. Really good one.